Wallpaper. Description. Elaras. Well, Elaras. Triangle Elaras. Elara. See, there's a headphone called the Elara, and I'm sure there's lots of things called the Elara, but these are called the Elara. And they're not passive. This looks passive. They're also known on the internet as the LN01a. And I know that because people in Europe are like, hey, can I get the Elaras? And I'm like, I don't know, can you? And like, yeah, but they're called the LN01a. I don't know why, but this is Triangle's self-powered, DSP corrected, remote, remote controlled, subwoofer outing, phono input having digital loudspeaker. Is it really a digital loudspeaker? I don't know. I don't think that's what I would call it, but it's priced here in the States at least to compete with the Klipsch 5s, the Vanuatu T1 Encores, the Kanto Tux. It's in that like more than $600, but under $1,000 like butter zone. And speaking of butter, I don't usually review just butter. I have done it. Zeos in the future, please link the butter tasting with the family. I'm not joking. We on the Cooking Consortium, we sat down and we tried 12 different butters. And it turns out some butter is shit and some butter is fantastic, and I've changed my life and everything. But these speakers remind me a lot of that night, because no matter how you look at it, we were filled with butter. And of the speakers I just mentioned, the Tux, the Vanuatus, the Klipsch, these are definitely what I would call the most smooth. These are the cappuccino with that lots of froth foam on top. It's a lot of foam. It's like 7 inches of fucking foam. The basement's killing me. It's fine. This is definitely Weird Al, and I apologize to the Princess Passes in the audience because she doesn't like Weird Al, and that makes me... I'll take the covers off in a second. I want to point out the color also. I was told they'd be sending me purple, and what they sent me was indeed purple. But then Adorama, who has agreed to give me a sale price link, I think $200 off. It's either 100 or 200. I don't want to state because it's been a while. I think $200 off for the time being. And they have this listed as eggplant on the site. And you know what? Yeah, that's eggplant. Also comes, I think, in black and blue. Black and blue and eggplant. It's one of those speakers that if you leave the cover on, you're like, oh, those are handsome. And you know, it's a gray fabric and the triangle logo is beautiful. And then you look at it without it on and I'm like, oh. And you don't know what to do. Because I kind of really like them with the cover on, that gray, with the curved back, so it sort of like looks like it's floating there. But you take it off and it's like, oh, black on black on black, no hardware showing. And then this entire thing around the tweeter is rubberized. And you have like a gold, a very, very subtle like rose gold insert. And it's like, oh shit, they're pretty. So, I mean, I think we could agree in the order of prettiness, the Vanuatus are at the bottom. I'm sorry, Vanuatu, I love you guys. Looks department, eh. In cherry, a little better, but still like it lacks like You follow that up with probably the Klipsch. The Klipsch had beautiful woodwork, metal things on top to control it. The horn, the black driver kind of threw it off. If it was a gold driver, it would have remarkably looked like their cheaper sets that didn't do it. Then the Kanto Tux are like straight renders from the future. And I think the Tux beat these in looks, but it's close. Because it's the single solid reversed cone and then And I don't hate any of those speakers. I don't want to do a tier list. I was considering doing a video on how I'm not going to do a tier list. By doing a tier list and putting everything in A. Everything's class A. Just everything straight across the fucking board. Because tier lists are dumb. Because as soon as you put something not in the top thing, nobody wants it. And that's not how headphones or speakers work. There is a certain headphone or speaker for every person. And it's not up to me to tell you if something is worth it or not worth it. I tell you what it is. I tell you if I think it's good, but I'm not going to throw it in a C tier, because that C tier could be someone's most favorite thing. So all the speakers I just mentioned, and I can't believe I'm put Swan. Edifier is sort of in this game a little bit. The 3000 Pros, S3000 Pros, are like in the $800 range, and they have like that wireless going on. And did they have a subwoofer down? I don't think they did. See, what I'm using to sort of like delineate what's in this, because if you're new to audio, you've never been here, there's a lot of flavors and levels of powered monitor, all the way down to like studio monitors, like these JBL LSR 305s, which are my originals, which are, you need power, then you need signal, and then fuck off. Deal with it. That happened a couple streams ago. So these are just like the most basic of like, you get it, it has its own amplifiers, you feed it signal, then you control the signal, and that's it. Then you work up to like that middle range of like Edifier stuff, the cheaper Edifier stuff, or Swan, where you get power one side usually, run a wire to the other side, all your signals are there, and you get a remote control. As soon as you get out of powered monitors, you get to like the remote control level of speakers. And that's like a good place for people to live. That's the soundbar killer sort of stuff. Because you get it, you plug power into it, you plug one speaker to the other, you have a remote, you can control volume, turn it on and off, maybe even you have multiple inputs, golden. Then we're up to here, which I don't think for consumer reasons, this is like the highest tier of speaker. The Kanto Tux, Vanuatu T1 Encores, Klipsch 5s. These are speakers that have power usually to one side. I do have a set of Swans that powers both sides, but power to one side, run it to the other speaker. Then you get your digital ins, you get your remote control, just like the lower tier down, but then you get those special features, or just the costs straight up over $600, where it gives you phono in or RCA switch with your ground, your auxiliary in, subwoofer out. Actually, all the speakers I spoke about just now, every one of them, those four, will take a subwoofer out. And I have, in case, if you're confused by what these are on top of, these are my Doom stacks. And I actually built and reviewed these 4.5 years when I first moved to my apartment. Now I'm in house basement, but back in the apartment, these were a project of mine. They used Martin Logan Dynamo 300 subwoofers as the base, and then Misumi aluminum stands, and then I put a whole bunch of, now discolored from age, I could rotate them, there's a little bit more blue, racket balls to sort of separate what the sub was doing to shake in the speaker wouldn't shake down. I love these things. And they're subwoofers, so I can actually plug the speaker into them, and we'll do that to demonstrate what happens when you plug the subwoofer in. Because plugging the subwoofer in disables the low end out of the unit, and then it goes to a subwoofer, and everyone's happy. Vanuatu did it, Tux do it, 5s do it, these do it. I think of all the speakers I just mentioned, these have the least, I'm going to say the word impressive bass, but please do not take that as, well, these don't have any bass. They have absolute, the fluidity and perfection of the sound that Triangle has produced. And if you don't know, Triangle hasn't really done anything bad, ever. The most expensive pair of speakers I reviewed was those Triangles. I forgot what the model number was. And then we sold those in a yard sale, and the money went to charity. And then the Triangle just loves, Triangle feels like they love music because they're French and they just drink wine and eat cheese and love music. That's fine. That's fine with me. A lot of the other, what I would call the other speakers doing, the Tux and the Tux, the Vanuatus, and the Heresies, not Heresies, the 5s, they're very technical speakers. They're all striving for this absolute detail, and then let's reach as low as we can with the low end. Can we do 45 hertz? Well, how about 44? What do we need to do to get 43 hertz? And these, when you start shuffling around, that's like a spaceship sound. Let's not play that. Fuck. I don't consider what I'm hearing out of this absolute technical proficiency. I consider this Triangle's house sound. Klipsch has a house sound, Canto not so much, and Vanuatu only makes one speaker. So when you talk about a house sound, it's basically like if you closed your eyes and went into a room and someone said, what speaker is this? You should, if the house sound is prevalent enough, be able to pick out, wait. Those are Yamos, or those are JBLs from the 80s. There's that sound that it has. And I would, in no question about it, be able to close my eyes, be put in a room and say, yeah, these are Triangles. Because fucking butter comes out of them. The smoothest, richest, creamiest. And it's all about the tweeter, and where the crossover happens to the mid-range driver, and they did not compromise that by putting this as like, this is gonna be the most extreme low end. We're gonna put like a fucking slot port this big or a rear facing radiator. What Triangle has done here is take what they have a house sound with their normal passive speakers, run it through a DSP to sort of just like clean it up a bit and provide probably one of the nicest, just the nicest sound. Just, if this had a built-in button to demonstrate it, this music would be what was played. And you're gonna make me go and look, aren't you? Fuck. Because now I wanna know. Because it sounds lovely. PC38X has this wallpaper if you want it. This is Johann Sebastian Bach, Concerto No. 5 in D major, and then Roman numeral 3. I don't understand how, I don't know how to understand classical music. Easier to navigate the library of freaking, no, was it the library of, what was one that burned down? That all the greatest works in the world were lost? Athena? Greece? The library of, fuck, it's gonna kill me for the entire rest of this review. I'm gonna skip into the next track, even though, like, the imaging is just, it's dancing across. There's no harshness to it. And you can tell that this is producing the rest of the sound and not like waiting for low end to just bang it. Oh my God, we are, I don't even have that much classical music, but it's like the world knows. Oh, by the way, I want to point out, to feed this from there, I'm using the Pi2 Designs, Pi2Designs.com, Pi2Design.com, Zeos, the audio hat, so I can get coaxial digital out of this Raspberry Pi, which is connected via Wi-Fi, to that computer, which is connected via Wi-Fi, to my network, and then it's delivering pure bliss to said speakers. So I'm going to have a review of that. That thing does some shit. And for just my purposes and convenience, it is great. I want audio over there. I want audio outside. Wherever my Wi-Fi reaches, I can just... The problem is controlling that. Or you could do it from your phone, I guess. But... another classic. Please don't get copyright infringement. All right, pause. Even that, even what sounds like Static X starting, and I'm pretty sure that's Static X, there's just, I don't want to keep moaning on about, oh, it sounds quality, it sounds quality, it sounds quality. But there's no fucking other thing I could, that is Triangle's house sound. Their house sound is literally, it sounds like a $3,000 set of speakers, no matter what it costs. The Boreas, $3,000 set of speakers. I can't remember. Even their like tabletop Bluetooth home smart speaker, which I ended up selling in the yard sale because it was like $700 and I could have used the money, you know, mortgage. But even that sounded just better, creamier, smoother. Like they weren't trying to hit all the detail desperately in an attempt to like just one up somebody. They were just like, no. If I can't chill to this set of speakers, I don't want to do it. And it works. Oh, I've used a Flirk, by the way, which is the little USB plug-in, so I could reassign these buttons. Because these buttons, I'll show you the remote for a second. Here, too bright. The smallest remote with the most buttons. Like, I have to give the Remote Wars to the Kanto Tux. They win. I just love the elegance of that solution, that their whole thing with the black and white and the scent. I like when I grab a remote, which I can barely grab this one. Like I can fist it, but that's about it. And like the most prominent buttons are volume, because that's probably what you're playing with the most with a set of speakers. On this, however, we have mute, power, last track, next track, play, pause. You have 5 individual buttons for the 5 individual inputs. So you have Bluetooth, which is how I first started these out, and they sound fine on Bluetooth. RCA, 3.5mm, coaxial digital, optical, and then this reload button. We'll go back to that. Then you have controls for the bass, the treble, and the volume. And the volume control is in the very, very far corner, so if I want to like crank it up, there is a single green LED that does it change color? Yeah, there's blue, but it's always green for every other input. And I like, most companies will at least indicate when you're on a different thing. It's like, I know that yellow is auxiliary, and I know that red is optical, which makes sense, and then blue is Bluetooth. But this is blue on Bluetooth, green for everything else. So you have no idea. And then if you don't have the remote, you're clicking this to sort of go through it inputs, and you don't know when you're back. You have to count. So I highly recommend, and this is the infrared receiver, I highly recommend not losing the remote for this. I mean, it's not like you're going to be switching options and inputs all the time. Oh. Now, I want to thank my basement for existing and being filled with like foam and fiberglass in the ceilings, and it's just acoustics here are fucking phenomenal. I bought the house because I could live in the basement rather than not being able to breathe. But I do have a dehumidifier. Don't ask me to get another dehumidifier. I got one. All right, I just have the windows open because it's like cool out, and it's causing it to be humid as shit down here. So I'm gonna shut those. But holy God. Can I have a seat? I think I personally like the way these sound over the other 3. Like if I had to like listen to them forever. I mean, I have a set of Tux. They're in a box back there. I have the Vanity T1 Encores. They're on the shelves over there. I'm going to need a pair of speakers upstairs, powered speakers to put on my rolling TV cart. We'll get to that as well. I want it to be these. Vocals. And it's not just beautiful singing vocals, but just any vocals, podcast vocals are fucking perfect. If the only one that could possibly compete with these is if Triangle came out with a set, because Triangle has expensive speakers. They have speakers that run in this range. The D1090s, which you guys probably haven't seen the review yet because it hasn't come out, isn't as buttery smooth as this. More impressive as far as dynamic range. But Swan would be the only company that if they came out, because they don't have a subwoofer out on any of their speakers. Swan is very, very sticking to like that low tier of powered monitor, but then they cost like $1 billion. They have like giant setups. So right now, if you had told me to sit down in front of a pair of speakers for the next year, and it was the 5s or the T1 Encores or the Tux, it'd be the Elaras. And it's just Triangle. Triangle does it for me. If you've heard a set of Triangles and you're like, not my style, I need more treble, more detail, or more low end, then pass on these. But Zeos, the motherfuck Pantera, wants to marry the Triangle Elaras. And it's just when I've had guests come by and they sit down, and I've had these up for a while. I had them off and on and off and on speak. And one person sat here and they knew a little bit about speakers. Like they listened. And they sat and listened to a couple songs with their Bluetooth on their phone through the speakers. And they were like, I've never heard something so good. Ever. They've never heard something so good. Ever. Ever. In their whole life. Now, it could be the acoustics of the room. But I know better because I've heard, 700 pairs of speakers. These are winners. They're amazing. And no matter how many spices I get sent from Triangle, or chocolate cakes, or bottles of wine, that affects me zero. Because if something sucks, I'll tell you. This remote kind of sucks, Triangle. Spend $45 more, design your own remote that's beautifully held in your hand. Because soundbar killer? Yes. Desktop use? Yes. Giant basement yes. They work in all things. Now, the low end, I was going to get to, and we're going to get to these bass and treble things. You can adjust the least finite adjustments of anything ever. You get 3 up and 3 down. So you hit play or next track. Next track. Can I point out the bass is not lacking? It's not lacking, but it ain't doing like Klipsch 5 sort of fucking crazy low under D10 90s, or even Vanitu's are like built on that like 37 hertz they can produce, or 43 hertz. It's low. The Tux actually didn't do much low end. The Tux are probably the weakest sounding speakers, but they're so beautiful that they stay on that list and always earn my heart. But these, bass 2 3, that's it. Up, 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 up. And you could definitely, like, you can get it out of its comfort zone by putting the bass up with your 3 notches of adjustment. And then if you want to like just tweak the treble up, tweak the treble. That's a new word. Write that down. Now they sort of lose that like perfect balance, and they become, you know, a little bit sharper. And then the bass I have cranked up. Now I want to reset it. So there's one reset button that you press. It blinks once to indicate you've pressed it. And then when you unpause it, why it's so quiet? Because the reset button not only resets bass or treble, but it also resets the volume. So now you got to go and find your perfect volume again. So be careful playing with it. That you're like, every time you hit that reset button, it's basically, or if you're running them flat, like I suggest you do, hitting that reset button is a good way to, like, if someone's trying to have a conversation with you, immediately lower and go, what, honey? Oh, never mind, fuck you. And then you just go back up. I'm assuming that's the conversation you're having. Oh, another thing. You can make these loud enough that they distort. So, a lot of the speakers I've reviewed that I talked about in that list, the list in the description, will prevent you from fucking with them. They'll just hold back until, like, you can push them up as loud as you want, and it'll just pull the bass away so it doesn't distort. These, if you start pushing it, and we're getting to the loud territory now, like when you have them up, they will absolutely not enjoy it. Right before the sunrise, one thing is on my mind. That's from Redline. Great anime movie, based on nothing, not based on any sort of source material. Fucking fantastic. So reset. I'm sorry, reset. I'll have to point back there for next track. Actually, wait. Pause that. Let's go back to that song. Let's plug the subwoofer in. Now, I have both subwoofers wired in together, and then this wire here is going to take over. I'm afraid to touch it because I might leave a fingerprint. So now, the low end will be extracted from the speakers. They will no longer attempt to do low end, and they'll just be the beautiful tops that sit on top of these subwoofers. Now, you don't need 2 subwoofers underneath it like I have, because I'm awesome. You can just have any old subwoofer, and you don't need like that special Emotiva S8 or SE12 that has the crossovers and everything, because what should come out of that RCA cable for the subwoofer should be everything the sub needs. In fact, you don't even have to set the crossovers. These are set to maximum frequency response, because that should send precisely down to what it needs to the subs, and then you can enjoy it like that. Oh, God. I may have them up a little bit, just a touch, just a titty touch, too much. Titty touch too much. But that's a lot. They sound like a much larger speaker now. Now, if you just throw a subwoofer in, a lot of the other speakers, and this is, other than the Tux, the other speaker, the Vanna 2T1s and the Heresies, keep holding the Heresies, and the 5s, are sort of like, you buy an $800 powered speaker because it can do everything all the way down to the bottom, the very bottom. I'm down at the bottom now. So by putting a subwoofer in like the Vanna 2T1s, it felt like an insult. It felt like, yeah, you're doing that, but the low end is like 1/3 of the reason I bought these speakers. But on these speakers, where the low end is adequate, very much adequate, and I think you'll be fucking happy with it. Don't buy subs yet, but try them first, and then you can always get the subs later. That's what I say about every system. If you can tune it right, and it's still a little bit high, I can tell it's a little high. I gotta come over here and I gotta do some tweaking. I gotta tweak this. You still get that buttery smoothness and that vocal presentation and the fucking amazing imaging. Like, the DSP correction technology, I think it's going to improve imaging almost more than frequency response. Because these certainly won't measure as accurately as like the Vanna 2 T1 Encores. Those Vanna 2s are designed for neutrality. And the Klipsch Heresies are a V-shape, but they somehow pull it off like amazing vocals and imaging. And these, I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but I love every second of it. So by adding the subwoofers to it, you can just sort of like... Oh. Did I mention when you put a subwoofer into it? Remember that distortion I was talking about when you could push it too hard? Well, by removing the low end, the driver is no longer trying to do this. It's only trying to do this, even at high volumes. So you get to play this song at the right volume, which is deafeningly loud. I don't care if this video doesn't get demonetized now. I need that song in here. This demo, it's an old song. It's got to be fucking copyright free. God damn it, what is it? It's going in my playlist. I'm going to see if I can put that into sound demos. Verdi Requiem. Dies Irae Mors Subte. Day of Wrath. Death shall be stunned. Yeah, I'm putting that into the new test folder, which is a folder where I put songs that I might want to put in sound demos. And then I run them through YouTube, and YouTube goes, "You're banned!" And I'm like, fuck. And then I can't use it in sound demos, but holy shit, does that sound amazing. Now, if I unplug the subs, which are allowing it to be as loud as it is, and I'm pretty sure I have to now lower it. One... See, here's the thing. When you adjust the bass and treble, it flashes every time you press it until you come back down, and then it blinks twice to indicate you're back to level. So you can level it that way. But the volume does that too. Like, why would the volume... I'm going to reset it completely. 1, 2... Yeah, the crashing bass can't happen, and I have to keep it slightly lower. That's the same for all the speakers I'm talking about. You want to not have to do that? Here. Just roll this fucking thing into your office. There you go. Now you don't have to add a subwoofer. Congratulations. You've bought giant tower speakers with 10s and 8s. So you know what you're expecting out of these speakers, number one, and then go, huh, when you add, you know, probably a $300-400 subwoofer would be around the price. Minimum, I would try to add. If you're going to have a speaker of this sort of quality, don't throw a Walmart special sub on it. Will it add low end? Yeah, but it's like, how do I put this? It's like restoring a beautiful 1960s Cadillac and then keeping the Cadillac motor in it, because that's garbage. No, you want to restore a beautiful 1960s Cadillac and then put like a refined like German V8 under the hood. You want to continue the goodness. I'm not into old motors from America, except if it's the Di Tommaso Pantera. Then you could have the Cleveland engine in it, and it's like, oh, okay, whatever. We're getting off topic. I love these speakers. The end. Cios, you love everything. Fuck you. I'm allowed to. Could you imagine how terrible my life would be if everything came across my desk? I'm like, there's your shit. there's a lot of things that I'm like bored with. I just got a set of like $1,500 IMs, all right, from a company I kind of like. And I put them in and I started shopping with $1,500 IMs. You know what I thought? These are all right. What am I supposed to do with that? How do I make a 20-minute video sitting on my desk saying that, these very expensive, top of the line, they're very proud to, all right. So if I can be like exuberantly impressed by something, I'm going to be. Because I mean, it's a triangle, which is automatically putting it like in the good column, but it's only a 5 1/4 or 5. It might not even be a 5 1/4. It might be only a 5 because companies like to do that shit. And just what comes out of it on its own is fucking impressive. It's expensive, but I like it in purple. It's got some life to it. It doesn't just look boring and like blue. Well, not blue. Blue is the other color they make. It's not like black or silver. Black and silver. Black. Well, it's bright red because I bought it at IKEA. But black and silver and black and black and black and black and black. Put some fucking life into it. Some gold. Some eggplant. I do think it looks like eggplant. And I'm okay with that. Click the link in the description for Adorama. There's a $200 off fucking code. If you live in Europe, look for the LN01as. These things are like 400 quid. No, that's you. I watch too much Top Gear also, which is now the Grand Tour. It's quids or dollars, but they're not. So euros, they're a lot cheaper in Europe because Triangle is French, and I guess it's like they hand them out there. But here in the States, if you want this level of quality, you're going to fork it. Luckily, you get to fork it a little bit less for a limited time deal. I don't know when the coupon's running out. Hello? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I actually do like, and I want to. It's a little bit fucky because when I get to a speaker like this, I just want to listen to it. I don't want to review it because now I've reviewed it. Now I'd have no reason to listen to it, but I'm going to want to listen to it. So I'm going to see if Triangle wants to let me borrow these till the rest of time is over. And then I have an exact spot I want to put them. And I want to use them. So thank you for Triangle for sending these out. They a sexy beast. I did not hook them up to a turntable though, so I'm not sure how quality the phono in is. With your big switch for phono in line. So you'll have to, give me a break on that. But I did test that subwoofer out. So I could play classical music too. And the sound demo for these is in the description and certainly will not do them justice. No matter how expensive my mics are, no matter how good my room is, your headphones are lacking. Always lacking. That's wild. This is just, I just love these fucking things. They're so... Goodbye, everyone. Download this wallpaper in the description. I'll be right back, Triangle. Hold on. Download the wallpaper for Fubiki. Is she French? Sounds like a French name. Doesn't matter. Damn! So that's available in the description, so you can have a nice, classy background. Sound demo's down there. Check out my Patreon and Subscribe Star if you want to support this channel, aka keep me from being homeless again, because mortgage payments for till 2050. Yay! You also get to see all these reviews early. I'm a little bit behind. I've been in a funk. Like I've been concerned with house problems, like adding water heaters and getting rid of bees and closing up all the... and then I have to mow the lawn and the tractor's battery. I'm getting back into the groove. There's a groove, I'll get back into it. And when I'm in that groove, you want to be a patron or Subscribe Star subscriber so you could see these reviews early. Ask me any questions you want on platform, which of course I'm behind on those. I need to train a monkey to answer questions. Am I allowed to own a monkey and then train it to answer audio questions? I don't know the legality of it in the States. But, yeah, see, and then yard sales. These would, even if Triangle's like, here's a pair, never gonna have in the yard sale. Never fucking ever gonna. I'll sell the Vanitus first, I'll sell the Tux first. I don't have the fives to sell. But these are fucking, This is definitely the most 2020 these things have gotten. These are just, we're up to date now. other yard sale items. From the 1st to the 10th, I sell shit that companies have sent me or I've bought, or just old items I've had, or things people have sent in, and I just put them back out into the world for like pennies on the dollar. Sometimes dollars on the dollar, but you know, that's all right, because I can ship to the international. Do ship international, by the way. It just costs you half the shipping cost. So thank you, Triangle. Sound demo, support the channel. Check out Hi-Fi Guides. Check out the Hi-Fi Guides forum. There'll be a post. Every item I review has an official post started on the Hi-Fi Guides forum, so you can go there instead of just sticking around in the YouTube comments, which no one cares about, or is full of memes, or is full of sex bots. It's like, I love you. I've always loved you. Here's a timestamp randomly. What are these bots? Who puts these bots there? They're not even selling anything. Anyway, I'm done. I'm done, and you're done, and it's great. These are great. I'm gonna end on a song, because I always end on a song.
第2章この三つなんとかさんに制裁を。ではいよいよ研修内容に入ろうと思う。
Okay.